Welcome back to RFL. Right now, most states allow the government and federal contractors to ask job applicants about any criminal history. But there's a group of people visiting the White House today asking the president to ban the practice. The idea is called ban the box. And guys, this is something we've all experienced. Anytime you apply for a job, there's a check box at the bottom that says check here if you have any sort of criminal history and explain what it is.
How'd you do?
Well, I got this job. So, so Richard, you're a business owner. Somebody comes in with a job application and wants to work for you. Shouldn't you as an owner have the right to know if they've been violent in their past, if they have a criminal history, if they've stolen from previous employers?
Yes. And the competing value in this is everybody says we want to stop people from going back to jail. You don't want people out on the street revisiting the same kind of behavior. So they need a job. There's got to be a way to make sure that we can find suitable employment for ex-cons who want to go down the right path and still not take away the right of an employer to protect him or herself from really dangerous people.
What is that balance? How do you get there?
I don't know, but I do. I
don't think I've ever heard you say those words before. Could you say that again?
Well, it happens occasionally. If you've ever willing to ask me about a question I don't know, I'll tell you.
Fantastic.
This one I don't know. But I do think that stopping disclosure of prior criminal behaviors is not in the long run in anyone's interest.
Isn't it a bit redundant, actually? Because I would imagine, regardless of what happens when one checks that box, in this day and age, they're going to do a background check. Correct?
Well, don't you
Does that preclude running?
I think you have to sign off for them to do a background check.
I don't know.
Employers don't have access to police department records.
No, just a background check in general. I think.
Background check in general. The first thing they say is, "What'd you ever do?"
Well, not many convicted felons have like sterling credit, and there's a history. You could probably do a little,
You're saying you can figure it out even if you don't have their actual rap sheet. You could probably figure out something approximating.
Or I guess what I'm saying is not so much. It's probably unfair to say connect the dots. Then you get into profile. I guess what I'm saying is regardless of whether that box is checked, people are doing background checks these days. Employers are doing background checks in general, regardless.
Well, because Dominic, if somebody does a stint in jail and they get out and they have to keep admitting it, that keeps following them around. How are they ever going to get another job? And if that's the case, aren't they going to wind up right back in jail or right back in prison on the taxpayer's dime?
That is the dilemma that faces millions of people that have gone to jail, and they've paid their debt to society. Many of them, we would hope, have turned their lives around, but then they run into that brick wall where they can't get a job. And so I hate to admit this, but I agree with Mr. Brodsky. His answer, his assessment.
Every week you agree with me and say you hate to do it.
Well, this time he's agreeing and saying he doesn't know.
Get over it.
I'm getting old. I'm getting old. What can you say? I mean, I still want you to help a brother because they attacked me. Wait. Let me just finish up. We're done in 10 seconds, and then you can cut me off again. Okay. But I just, with Mr. Brodsky, he's right. The employer has every right to know an individual's past, and at the same time, we got to find a way, society, to help people more. But it's really tough because just this week on the radio the other day, I was attacked because I supported the program from the NYPD where it's mandatory. They called felons in and they served them pizza. But they also had social workers there and programs for GED. Society must do more.
Nice plug for the radio spot.
There you go. I didn't say what station.
Very smoothly done.
I didn't say WABC radio.
What? TJ, so many people are in prison today. The number escapes me, but it's something like 65, 70% on drug-related crimes. It's one thing if somebody's stealing from the boss, if somebody's, a violent offender. But if you've got a drug history and you go through prison and you manage to clean your life up, shouldn't you get the opportunity to get another job? And wouldn't having to check this box stop you from getting that opportunity?
I'm a recovering alcoholic. And yeah, you'll never hear me say no on that. Now, I don't have a criminal history. And that was God's plan, thank God. I don't have any sort of criminal history that I've had to deal with. That being said, I can relate to a certain aspect of your question. And so, yeah, you would hope that these things wouldn't dog, especially if it is something about recovery. And I'm saying they should. And also, I can relate to and I always try to be intellectually honest. I can relate to a lot of this because I turned a career from I was a stand-up comic and an actor, and I eventually got into the other part of the media and then political and all. And so along the way, I've had a heck of a time trying to establish myself without a lot of the traditional credentials along the way.
Would the box on the form ask if you were ever in show business?
I can.
Could it ask if
they
you
don't
were,
have to ask. Just listen.
Could it ask if you were ever, could it ask if you were ever funny?
Oh, you are an awful human being. And no, so what I'm saying is I know how tough it is to get
What
your
did the
foot in the
president
door.
say today in response to the request?
I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know.
Because
I said it too.
Well, you're learning. I'm a good example.
Feet of the master, once again.
For all the back and forth, there really is a dilemma here. And that is, if you really don't want people back in jail, you've got to give them real opportunities. This may not be the best opportunity to give them, but it would be nice if those guys would step up and have GED programs and college programs in prisons, stuff that you should support and don't.
Okay. The meeting, by the way, was with presidential advisors, not directly with Obama. It's nice to see that we all agree that there's a problem and that we all agree that we don't know how to solve it.
Sure.
We're going to figure it out during the break. And when we come back from that break, Governor Cuomo is under fire for his new budget. And now even the Cardinal is miffed at what he's doing. We'll tell you what he is doing, and we'll debate it next.